Yo, Thought Warriors. What is up? Our learning is on. It is Ivan Lathan Jr.
And it's me, Rachel Lindsay.
You bet your ass it is. How are you, Rachel?
I'm all right.
Yeah. That didn't sound very convincing.
Listen, I'm all right, but I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay.
Rachel, do you take vitamins?
We talked about this last time. I'm recently into the Mary Ruths.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this? Mary Ruth's Organic. So I take the women's multivitamin, and I take like the liquid vitamin as well. So I'm into that right now, trying to be more consistent. I take magnesium every day, though.
Magnesium every day?
Mm-hmm.
Helps you with, flush it all out.
And relax.
What's the difference between a female multivitamin and a male multivitamin?
Great question. I think there are, and this is me totally just talking out the side of my neck. I actually don't know this, but my guess would be that there are things that help with like estrogen or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've never really looked into it because I'm just like, oh, it says it's for women. That's the one I'll take when I'm looking. I wanted a multivitamin. That was important to me. So, but I wonder what would happen if I took the men's.
Yeah, who knows?
I think I have enough what they call masculine energy, so I'm good.
If you took the men's multivitamin, your pay would increase 30%.
Well, these days.
That's funny. You take the men's multivitamin, and it obliterates the pay gap. My God. Maybe you should give the men's multivitamin to somebody else.
How are you?
Okay.
Uh-oh. We both just okay. We both just dying.
It's not a time for being more than just okay. It's you know what? Fuck, no, you know what? Fuck this. I'm sick of this shit. Nah, nigga, I'm doing great. I am a victor. All right.
You need to do better. Yeah.
I'm doing great. I am blessed. I am proud to be me. I'm doing fantastic and phenomenal, and things are only gonna get better. How's that sound?
Okay, so I don't believe you. Because I don't believe that's how you feel right now in the moment. But this is what I will say.
I don't care. No, that's how I feel. No, in the grand scheme of things.
In the grand scheme of things,
that's how I feel. Hold on.
So this is okay. He's pulling out the lint brush. Got to make sure things are in order. I mean, if you are gonna rock the hat, you got to rock it right. But what I will say is, and friends tell me this and therapy tells me this, I'm quick to avoid my feelings and run away. So I want to acknowledge that I'm not okay, but I will be. So I am not at my best right now, but I am totally channeling everything that you said because I know that that's just right around the corner. It could be tomorrow, but right now I got to feel what I'm feeling. And that's fair. That's honest. I got it. Listen, I'm going through. Okay. But I'm here. I'm doing what I love. I got a smile on my face. Blessed. I woke up this morning. Dogs are in good health.
It's pretty important.
I love those babies. Yes, I am too. I'm going to Austin this weekend. Actually, I'm going to Austin today.
What's down there?
They got this thing called Elite Week that it's like my old stomping grounds. So, guy I went to college with works for Athletes First, hosting Elite Week with all his players. So it's like sports, entertainment, connection. They do a big charity dinner. I got some friends that I'm meeting there. We have a table at this dinner. I'm going to support, going to network. It'll be a bit of a reunion. So I'm just going for a few days. Yeah. I'm
in Vegas this weekend.
Okay.
For the NAACP convention. No, there's no fight. What fight? There's a fight? I don't think there's a fight.
Are you going to take me to be the authority on that? I was just saying, I just assume there's a fight. Okay, you're doing something with NAACP. What are you doing?
NAACP convention is this weekend. I'm not sure what else is going on in Vegas. Maybe Team USA. Maybe I'll go to some of that stuff. I'm sure Tommy Alito will be there in some way. Actually, Tommy Might be down there because he's stopping
No,
through. We got hang out with Tommy. Yeah,
Tommy's down there.
yeah.
And if not, you always love to brag about your NBA connections. Go ahead and hit up one of these Olympians and go to
No.
the game.
Problem is, I don't want to go outside. It's like 110 degrees.
The games aren't outside.
It doesn't matter. You have to walk to the game.
You can get to a lot of Vegas underground.
Yeah.
Get through it.
We mean,
Where are they playing?
Tell us about the Vegas underground. Probably the Thomas and Mack Center or T-Mobile Arena. I'm not sure.
Okay. I'm just saying, like, you can go through, the casinos and stuff are connected. You could also Uber.
You could. Here's the thing. I don't want to be outside in the heat, and I don't know why you're trying to change me from that, right? I don't. Rachel, I just want to let you know.
Show you a good time.
Not everybody likes to be out on the scene like you. Some people like to be at the crib, like just hanging out or in the hotel, nice massage, a mimosa. I don't like to be outside. I don't like to be.
Huge misconception of me. When I tell you I haven't been inside, huge misconception of me. I like to have a good time. Absolutely. Like, I'm about living life to the fullest. But you going to a Team USA basketball game is not being on the scene. It's enjoying a sport with you love with some of the best in the game. Like, ew, man, stop making these faces. Come on.
You don't
How
like
long
that?
can you do it? How long can you keep it up?
You guys got to watch. Like, subscribe,
no, you don't.
and share. You guys got to like, subscribe.
You know what? This is what happens. People get excited the fact that they can watch us on the YouTube, and then you do shit like that, and then they're like, you know what? Unlike, unsubscribe. I'll just listen because
Rachel,
that's what happened to me.
You try this face.
I'm not. My face doesn't do that.
Try that face. Rachel, try it.
No,
you feel better.
No, because you will post this on your social. I'm not going to feel
Rachel,
better.
Try the face. You'll feel better.
You promise me you won't post this on social?
Ashley,
you promise me?
Ashley, jump on real quick.
You won't do it.
Everybody try this face. This is official higher learning. Ashley, this is the official higher learning stress relief
Let me tell you why I'm not going to do that. Because I am back out on the scene. I've got people to impress, and you will not subject me to making this face and then putting it on social media. And that is a lasting impression that people have of me. I'm not going to do that.
This face might actually get you. If you do that with the tongue, it might actually get you. You know what I mean?
I know you were going to say something. Nope. I'm good.
All right, that's fine.
Use your imagination.
Oh, wow. Now talk about Joe Biden. Seems to be the only relevant political discussion to have right now, at least domestically. So we'll do that on the other side of this break.
For coming in.
All right, Van, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, and it's probably not right, but I'm going to need a bit of a Biden break at this point. Not that I don't want to see Biden. I want to see him. I want to hear from him. I want to know that he can proceed in the manner that he's telling us that he can. I want to know that debate is not my lasting impression of him when it comes to live questioning, news conference, debate style. I want to know that. But I am tired of the back and forth. I'm tired of the fact that we have to keep Biden is not going to leave the race. He has said that multiple times. Biden is not feeling the pressure from people in the House. Now we have people in the Senate. We'll get to that. We have our first Democratic senator, Peter Welch of Vermont, who had Vermont. Oh my gosh, I said that.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Welch of Vermont, who has come out and said that he believes Biden should step down. You've got George saying to pedestrians, George Stephanopoulos saying to pedestrians on the street that he believes that Biden should step down. And you even have the iconic George Clooney
Hollywood star and Democrat mega donor George Clooney is among those calling for Biden to step aside. Clooney just headlined a fundraiser in downtown LA a few weeks ago that raised a record amount of money for the president. Clooney penned a New York Times op-ed saying the Biden who showed up at the fundraiser was the same man we all witnessed at the debate.
Who just hosted an event that you were at, raising money.
Okay.
Biggest fundraiser for the Democrats, raising money for Biden with Biden on stage, who is now not just saying it, writing a letter, an essay in the New York Times to emphatically say how much he feels that President Biden should step down. He's even gone as far to say that he has spoken off the record to multiple people in Congress who all agree that Biden should step down, but publicly aren't saying that. I feel like a broken record saying this over and over again. I mean, Biden has a news conference tonight, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, where it's at the end of this NATO conference that he's been doing. It's going to be live. He's going to be subjected to a lot of questioning. And it's really going to be the first time that we see him put to the test since the debates. Not a sit-down interview with George. This is live. I'm just tired of it. If he's not going to get out, I think we just need to rally around him. I think we're doing more damage than we realize. I get bothered by the George Clooney's writing an op-ed, and there's just no path to what's the next best situation. Okay, you don't think he's great, so what is great to beat Trump? That's my thing. I'm just so tired of it at this point. Like, he's not leaving. It's Biden and Trump. That's what's happening. Man.
Yeah. You're not wrong. It's interesting. So, I saw Gretchen Whitmer. She was on CNN yesterday. She's got a book coming out. She's on the Breakfast Club. She's coming up on the Breakfast Club. Maybe she already has been on there, or maybe it's dropping today. So it's a perfect time for her to be doing sort of a news cycle. This book was coming out already, though. But you see her. She's young. She's vibrant. She is articulate, smart, presides over a great big state, the whole thing. You see her, Vice President Harris has been more out there and vocal since this has taken over, which is probably, since this narrative has taken over, which is probably a good thing and probably should have happened before now, should I say. There's a lot of stuff happening. I'm not sure whether or not Biden is in the race for the long haul. I do know that the relentless ass kicking that he's getting is actually endearing him to me a little bit more.
You feel sorry for him?
A little bit. They are kicking his ass. Because here's the thing. There's a video that Chris Evans posted, not Captain America, Chris Evans over on Twitter. Great follow on Twitter. There's a video that he posted this morning of Biden talking to the newly crowned UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, which is a very interesting set of circumstances that is happening worldwide in terms of the elections of far-right candidates. I mean, Keir Starmer is not one of those guys. He represents the rebuke of that. And you've seen it rebuked in the UK. You've seen it rebuked in France, a couple other places you see far-right candidates losing. Here, we're still wrestling with that, but there seems to be a movement, at least in parts of Europe, to get these guys out of politics. This comes after a time where, obviously, we've seen these types of candidates emboldened. And there's still some places around the world where they are, but at least over there in Europe, you saw some positive signs. But it's Biden sitting down with him and the press just yelling at the president. Like, George Clooney, blah, 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 blah. And you see this guy just kind of look Biden, sly smile, and then raise his eyebrow, and then kind of look over at the new prime minister there. I'm pretty sure he was talking to the prime minister. And to me, I'm like, it, as much criticism as you have for the Democrats for putting themselves in this position, right? And I guess by proxy, putting American democracy in this position, putting bodily autonomy in this position, with having to deal with Donald Trump. There is something to the way you go about this.
Yeah.
And the way you go about this has it's illuminated the weaknesses in the Democratic Party more than almost anything, you know? So a couple of weeks ago, I talked about the fact that people had concerns and the Democrats came out and they said, hey, don't worry about it. This is our candidate, whatever. Some of them just shut up, basically. The problem was that all of this stuff was happening publicly. It was happening publicly, and it shouldn't have happened publicly. These conversations should have been internal. I remember one time, like my parents would really go through it. They would really go through it. They would go through it to the point to where like you didn't want to be around when my mother and my father were into it, and it would last for days, and it was just fucking terrible. But if you came over to our house when that was happening, you would never know. You would never know that my mother and my father were into it. They would either remove themselves from the situation so that you couldn't see, anyone from outside of our house couldn't see that there were problems, or while you were there, they present the front of a totally united and functional family. And also, they would tell me, don't run around telling people what's going on inside of this house. It's not for you to do that. I remember going to a friend of mine's house, I'll be honest with you. He was white. And sitting down at the table, eating this. Every time I tell this story, it's the same friend. Just want to let you guys know this. Every time I tell this story about going to the friend's house where his mother put hot dog franks in her gumbo and told me to call her by her first name, it's always the same friend.
This is Mason Jar?
Mason Jar. Same friend.
Nicotose?
No. That's a different friend.
I just want to be clear.
That's a different friend right there. And his mom had gotten remarried and they were into it. And the husband actually brought me into the argument. They're sitting down, going back and forth into it, and she had oven pizzas, the Giorno pizzas, and that was what was for dinner. And the husband comes in and he goes, "How many times do you think that you should eat a Giorno pizza for dinner until your wife is a bad wife? How many times in 1 week do you think you should eat a DiGiorno pizza thing for dinner after you've worked all day?" And I'm like, shit, I don't know. And then she comes back and she goes, "Well, maybe if we were doing a little bit better around here, I could go to the butcher and get some." And I'm like, and they're not even tripping. They're like, whatever, this happens all the time. And I'm like, God damn, these people are fucked. I'm like, these people are fucked. And that's kind of what's happening right now. It looks like, they're kicking Biden's ass to such a degree. They look fucked. Do you think it would be better if the Democrats made these decisions in-house, if they muted some of this criticism, and they just had these conversations away from these platforms, stop leaking these sources, stop with the op-ed, stop with all of this, made a decision, drop their nuts and stick to it?
Yes. I said this the last episode. To me, this is so simple. If you have concerns, I'm not saying flesh them out, make sure things are okay. But we don't need to be privy to this. We don't need to see the family fighting, to use your example. I honestly don't want to. It makes me uncomfortable to see that there's a division like this in the party. It's one thing if there's a division of, hey, the moderates versus the progressives. That's understandable, but I don't want to know this. It's making me, and I'm not even a Democrat, but it's making me feel uncomfortable watching this because I'm like as much as I've been on this podcast saying, like Biden is who they put up, Biden is who is the nominee. We need to rally around him. I still stand by that, but I'd be lying if it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable that there seems to be so much negative discourse within the party. And then you have people like Clooney, which it's like, nobody asked you. I'm sorry. I don't know what he thought. His opinion, his op-ed is going to sway people. It's going to get to people who follow Hollywood, pop culture. I think on social media, it's definitely going to hit an audience. But what is your goal behind that? Is it to get more voices to rally behind it to where Biden finally listens and steps down? It's not going to happen. Everybody with knowledge to the situation says the only way Biden's going to do that is if the people in his inner circle tell him that it's necessary for him to do it, or he just decides to do it himself. So I get frustrated with this because I'm just not understanding what you think is going to happen at the end of the day. Right? It's like when they ask you that question, this family at the table, like, was your answer going to make the wife start not cooking pizza? Was your answer going to make him not ask that question again and embarrass her? No. It's like, what was the point of why are we doing this?
You hit on it. Shame. Yeah.
Shame.
The point of it was to make a point to a third party while embarrassing or shaming or minimizing the other person, which is precisely what my highly dysfunctional family didn't want to do. They didn't want to make points about each other for a third party. They wanted the third party to think that this household was in simpatico, that everything was fine, that we were strong, so that this other person wasn't able to go out and take these ideas that they had about us, spread them around town, and then make other people think that they can come in and encroach upon our family in some way. They didn't want us to seem weak in front of other people, however that might be. Whatever people might do if they think my parents' marriage is weak, whatever people might do if they think our family is weak. They just didn't want that. They wanted to appear strong. So things were dealt with in-house. The George Clooney situation is interesting because, George Clooney hosted that fundraiser. I actually thought President Biden sounded fine at the fundraiser. I think I talked about it here on the podcast after now. He had, I'm sure, access to President Biden that night that I didn't, right? But I thought he sounded fine there. I actually was sitting next to someone and said, "Oh, look, he's doing okay. He's fine. He doesn't sound at all like he's like he can't find his words or anything like that." I thought it was one of the quote unquote good nights. But this is the thing, though. We talk about politics, potentially when you're dealing with someone that has celebrity and is an instrument of the party. George Clooney thinks that his opinion about this matters and is important because he raised $28 million for them. He hosted a fundraiser that raised $28 million for them. So when you have celebrities, luminaries, or big time donors inside of your political system, you can't say that these people don't have a say because you're leaning on them to raise large amounts of money for your political machine when it's time for you to go out there and run for office. So those people are not going to do that. And then a couple of weeks later, especially if what George Clooney said during his op-ed was that he noticed then that President Biden didn't seem to be completely cogent. Like he saw it then, right? So when this comes out, everybody is concerned when it comes out that President Biden, when you see the debate performance, that Biden will lose. And then November 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, it'll be like, okay, who told us to vote for this guy?
Yeah.
George Clooney told us to vote for this guy. Julia Roberts told us to vote for this guy. AOC told us to vote for this guy. Bernie Sanders told us to vote for this guy. All of these people that told us that there was an existential threat on the other side of this, but that this guy was the one that was going to extinguish that threat. These are the people now that we're going to blame for this. Joe Biden obviously isn't concerned about wearing that. He talked to George Stephanopoulos about that very directly, and he told him, hey, as long as I did my goodest job, I don't care, right? But there are other people who are. So a lot of this is coming from how people feel like they'll be perceived after a potential loss of Donald Trump. Now, I'll say this. It is time to squarely refocus this race.
Agreed.
No matter who stays in it, to what's going to happen. Like the CNNs, the MSNBCs, like all of the left-leaning outlets, it's been litigated. It's been talked about. We've talked about it here. I've talked about it. I've done my admonishing of the Democrats. I've done giving them my tongue lashing. Stood up here self-righteously and talked about what they're not doing. If we're serious about what we say that we're serious about, and if we're serious about stopping Project 2025 and stopping the MAGA movement and the far-right takeover of the fabric of this country, it's time to refocus the efforts on Donald Trump and what his side represents, because that's the most important thing. Maybe Biden will still drop out. Who knows? There's some talk that he might. Every day there's a different story. Biden is definitely staying in. Biden is definitely dropping out. Oh, people close to Biden say there's a big chance that the president's not going to move forward. Oh, well, we don't know. That we talked about it here about where the money can go. Well, there's a lot of people talk about differences with that. Okay, so look, the money that's been raised, it can go to Kamala Harris. Well, it can't go to another candidate, but it can go back to the DNC and then be used top to bottom to fund the thing. Like, even all of that information, people are spinning the information. I talk to people directly that are involved in not only the campaign, but in the Democratic infrastructure that say, hey, the only person that can use this money in any way is Kamala Harris. And then I go, okay, well, then what happens to it? Do the donors get all their money back? Like, what happens to the money if somebody else goes to the top and take? Well, it goes back to the DNC. The DNC can still use it to fund other people. So, but I'm like, well, then that's not exactly the same answer. Well, anybody in the presidential campaign can use it. So I'm still looking for someone to give me an answer to that question that is free of politics. Anyway, so while I have no idea who the best possible candidate for Donald Trump is, the polling is actually, depending on the way you look at it, not as bad as it seemed. And then in some places, worse than it seemed. There's just no clear answers. But the one clear answer is what we're up against.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really curious to see how today goes, because this live press conference, because I'll be honest with you, if Biden is exactly the same of the debate, you can't answer questions for 20 plus minutes. It may be longer than that. You should be able to do it longer than that about, yourself and these last few days with NATO, when you speak in such a powerful way about NATO and what you've done. You should be well versed and be able to speak on that. If he can't, then you're going to see me talk in a different way.
Oh,
but this is what I will say. What you're clear, what you said to me that is very clear is that the party has to rally together. So if this next test that we get, because Biden hasn't been tested in this way since the debate, reveals to us that this wasn't an episode, right? The Nancy Pelosi question. It's not an episode. This is actually who he is at this point. Then the party has to rally together on how they're going to move forward with somebody else. And they need to start positioning that person, and they need to be unified in that front. At the end of the day, the bottom line is they need to be unified. The way to beat Donald Trump is to be a unified party, whether that's behind Biden, as long as he stays in the race, or him stepping down and you positioning somebody else. That's it at the end of the day. That's why I say, to me, it's that simple. You just need to be unified. I know people say it shouldn't be that you're voting against Trump, but to me, the situation is that bad to where you're doing what you need to do to vote against Trump. And this might bleed into the AOC conversation, but the importance of not allowing Trump in the presidency, of course, it's Project 2025. Of course, it's who he is as a person. Of course, it's him as a felon. Of course, it's his racist, homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic past. But it's also the fact that it could be an opportunity for Republicans far right to control 3 branches of the government. Think about how terrifying that is. We have seen the work of the Supreme Court. We just saw the decisions that came out in the month of June. The House is run by the Republicans. The Senate is barely hanging on. And then Trump, as the president, who's also now been given the opportunity from the Supreme Court to know that he has absolute immunity when it comes to his what's deemed official acts, which still isn't clear on what that is. That is a terrifying thought. And that alone should make you get out and vote whatever's going to be Trump, whoever the Democratic nominee is.
You know what's funny about you want to vote for something and not vote against something? Is that's largely bullshit. I'm serious though. That's largely bullshit. I mean, it is. Every once in a while, there is FDR, a Bill Clinton, a Barack Obama that inspires people to think of American society in a way that they're not thinking about it at the present. Every once in a while, you get that. Like every once in a while, you get somebody like that, right? Literally, you can count it. Kennedy, maybe. Every once in a while, you get that, right? Normally, what you're voting for is in stark contrast to somebody else's vision of America. And you're voting, number one, to set the terms of what you can compromise. Like, if you're voting for single payer, right? For universal health care. Well, why are you voting for that? You're voting for that because that's not the way it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you're voting for someone who might want to reimagine public safety and change police budgets, well, you're voting for it because that's not the way it is right now. Because you see what's not working, right? There are things that you might, they're novel things like UBI, something new. Every once in a while, but you go, hey, that's something we haven't tried. And I've seen it tried here in smaller doses. Let's vote for that. Let's see if we can do something like that. But most of the time, what you're looking at are things that you see are not working for American society. And someone else goes, I'll tell you why that's not working. This is how we fix it. And then you vote for that. So when people say you shouldn't vote against something, you should vote for it. All I'm saying is, if I'm voting for, right, abortion rights, I'm voting for it because there's somebody that opposes it, and they have the political power and infrastructure to get their vision implemented. And so I see that all the time. Yeah, I get it. Well, I vote against things by voting for someone else. I see 2 visions of America. One represents an America I can live in.
Mm-hmm.
And one represents a vision of America I won't live in.
Mm.
So those are the 2 visions of America that are there. One where I have the opportunity to thrive, the opportunity to continue to move forward and organize and push forward. And the other one, where I am going to be under the regime of a social python that will choke out so many things that are important to me. And I'm going to vote against the fucking snake. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. All right. AOC has had enough of Clarence Thomas. She's not fucking with him no more. AOC is filing articles of impeachment against Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. She claims that they must be removed. Absent resignation, they must be removed, she says. She says because of their refusals to recuse, everyday Americans cannot and should not believe that these justices and consequently the court they serve is working to uphold the Constitution, put the country ahead of their own individual self-interest. Reasonable Americans will and do believe that Justices Thomas and Alito are prone and subject to corruption, should I say, that the institution failing to punish them is broken, and that consequently their impeachment is a constitutional imperative and our congressional duty. Now, this was co-sponsored by a lot of people: Barbara Lee, Rashida Tlaib, Bonnie Watson, Delio Ramirez, Maxwell Frost, Ilhan Omar, Jamal Bowman. Here's the deal. This comes after a lot of reporting on both Thomas and Alito. Obviously, Thomas's connections to billionaire Republican dude Harlan Crow, all the trips that he's taken, all the benefits that he's gotten from Harlan Crow. It's been well reported, places like ProPublica. And then also Justice Alito having an upside down American flag, which is a symbol of a specific political and social ideology, and having an appeal to heaven flag. ProPublica has done a whole bunch of work on all of this stuff. Also, a guy named Paul Singer, ProPublica, has reported on his connection to Samuel Alito. They think that these two justices have been bought, and not only bought, but bought and paid for by the deepest recesses of the far right, and now they must be removed. This is a sweeping action that I don't remember having happened in my lifetime, calling for the impeachment of a Supreme Court justice at this level. But I think a lot of people are wondering, obviously, an impeachment vote would have to get through the House, and it's very unlikely that would happen. But starting the conversation in these official levels, at these official levels, should I say, about the legitimacy of the Supreme Court, is probably an important thing to a lot of Americans right now, don't you think?
I absolutely think so. With Alito and Thomas, it's also that they're sleeping with the enemy. Both of their wives have done things, mainly Thomas's wife. Alito's wife has done it in a symbolic way with the upside down flag, but Thomas's wife was very involved in the Stop the Steal movement in January 6th, and there's a lot of evidence out there that links her to that. They're clearly compromised, right? Forget the gifts. Just look at the people they're sharing their household with. They're clearly compromised. And obviously, we would be idiots to think that the Supreme Court justices don't have personal biases. That they don't have a preference of who, whether they're conservative or liberal, in how they view the world. But what we expect of them, being that they are of the highest court, is that they can put that to the side and follow the letter of the law. That is what is expected of them. Alito and Thomas have shown through multiple occasions that they're not. Also, the rulings that have come from the Supreme Court since Trump has made this court 6-3 have shown that they are absolutely pushing their personal bias and they're showing their allegiance to Trump. But what AOC is doing, I love and I appreciate this energy. To me, this is why you're an elected official. You're not just complaining or talking about things that you that you're upset with or that you don't agree with. You're putting it to action. She knows she's not going to be successful in regards to getting these articles impeachment through the House, but she's doing it to show where she stands and to stand on the fact that she thinks that the justices, they're wrong. This court is corrupt. And we've seen other ideas that are like, oh, we should expand the court, or, oh, these justices should have term limits, which I actually really agree with. I mean, think about it. To know that, like, you're there forever. Like, you can do whatever you want, which is what we're seeing some of these justices do.
Well, obviously, that was put there to make it, that was put there under the auspices that it would make them less corrupt.
Nah. They're like,
Right.
what? I'm here to stay. I'm going to get comfortable in this. And you bring up an important point. It's so crucial because it's an election year, and to show your constituents where you stand and that you're willing to act on the problematic nature of this court and where this country is headed is super important. And I do want to point out that it's not just AOC that's putting forth bills or trying to do certain actions within the Democratic Party. There are other people as well within the House. Goldman asked the House Speaker to hold a vote on his bill that's establishing an independent ethics council for the Supreme Court. That's another idea. They want to create these ethic rules for the justices because they seem to be breaking the rules that currently exist. You have Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, who floated expanding the court and passing a binding code of ethics. And she also called for past term limits for the justice. And you have Representative Joe Morrell, who said he will introduce a constitutional amendment to reverse the Supreme Court's harmful immunity decision and ensure that no president is above the law. So you do have these Democrats who are trying to do things to fight against corruption in our government. And I appreciate that. And that's what I want to continue to see. And I'm glad we're highlighting that in this episode. There are people trying to do something, even if they don't have the power to do it.
So just so people know, the Appeal to Heaven flag, which was flown outside of Samuel Alito's beach house, is a flag that seems to align itself with Christian nationalism. Now, we've seen that. It was a symbol that was carried on January 6th. And we've seen the talk of Christian nationalism increase recently. I think it was Hawley that was on the Senate floor or giving a speech a couple of days ago that said he believes in Christian nationalism. It's a big deal. This was a push for a more Christian-minded government, if I'm being charitable to Justice Alito. So look, it seems to be that there's a clear political thrust behind members of the court in a way that there hasn't necessarily been before. I mean, the court has always been somewhat of a political instrument. And, I've told you guys here that in my reading outside of the Warren court, the court hasn't really ever acted in the best interests of democracy or in the average working American. It seems like a court that is disconnected from the average American is different than a court that is an activist court, a political court, and an arm of a specific party. The immunity ruling itself seems to spit in the face of the very idea of America as being different than the country it's spun away from. Putting that much power and that lack of accountability into the executive is something completely new. And I'm hard-pressed to think of a court in the past that would have ruled in that way. So when you're looking at what they're doing now, it seems to be that they have a clear set of imperatives and goals. And those things are not just around Donald Trump. They have to do with a very specific worldview that they would enact no matter who the president was. Trump is the one that gave them the golden gun to do it, though. This, as far as packing the court, I guess that's a nuclear option for the Democrats. I mean, we're getting close to that, right? We're getting close to The Republicans, this is what I'll say about the right. They rarely miss the opportunity to use their nuclear options. They're all out of weapons. They don't keep nothing in the tuck. They up it and they let the chopper sing. The Democrats, I'm not a Democrat, but I'm on the left. We always like, oh man, I don't want to have to use the chopper. Because if I use my chopper, then they use they choppers. And then everybody dead. The Republicans don't think twice. They up the chopper, they let that motherfucker sing, and they say, we got more bullets and better aim. And we kind of like, but we'll have a more robust discussion about packing the court and what that looks like next week. Let's start with sports. Sports time. Sports beat on higher learning. Kawhi Leonard left Team USA.
Not you laughing. Don't laugh into it.
That's funny, man. That's funny to me. So Kawhi Leonard is literally one of the most unstoppable forces on the basketball court. Whenever you can get him to play basketball,
he's on it.
Yeah,
when he's on it.
So he goes to Team USA, and they're out there. I'm like, man, they got Kawhi. Y'all, if y'all don't see Kawhi when he's rolling good, then if you haven't seen him, then it's hard to explain just how dominant he can be in a basketball game.
Well, it's just the championship win in Toronto. Like, literally put the team on his back. Watching him do that stretch, that series, is all you really need to see.
Yeah, but that was kind of horseshit, though, right?
Kawhi was phenomenal.
He was good, but in the finals, Klay and Kevin Durant were down.
I don't care. Kawhi was great.
You don't care?
No, I'm just saying, I get that it was easier for them. Yes, I guess it was an easier road for them, but it doesn't take away from Kawhi's performance, I guess is my point.
Kawhi was great then, and Kawhi was great before with the Spurs. He had already been finals MVP. But, I mean, the Raptors don't win that championship if Durant and Klay Thomas are healthy, right?
Why? No, of course, but they won, so I don't want to take it away from them. Of course that's the case, but I hate to do that. They won.
Klay Thompson. By the way, shout out to Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is, I never thought I would see the day where Klay Thompson didn't play for the
Olympic team?
No, not for the Olympic team. They're not fucking with that nigga like that. But for the Warriors, man.
Oh,
Clay's in Dallas. Are you excited about Klay Thompson?
We literally had this conversation on the podcast.
But you're excited. I know. But I'm saying,
I'm excited. Of course, I'm excited.
Is he the missing piece?
No.
Klay Thompson is not the missing piece. He's not the missing piece.
I said this before. I think we need a big man.
I got two good bigs, though. I got two good bigs. Y'all got, if you combine Lively and Gafford, if you combine their numbers, if you put them, I'm serious. There was a series, I think it was the series against the, what was it, against the, because the Mavs beat the Wolves. Yeah. That series against the Wolves, if you combine Gafford and Lively, you got like one Shaq. They were going for like 13 and 7 each. And if you combine them together, you got one Shaq. Then Boston shut that shit the fuck down, boy. Boston fucked over them. Anyway, back to Kawhi. So Kawhi went out there for 2 days. It was too hot. That nigga Kawhi said, I'm done, man. It's too hot out here. I ain't playing. See, you talk about me talking about the heat. Kawhi was in Vegas for he was there for a couple days and quit. And this started but did you see the bullshit that this started after this?
With Jaylen?
Yeah.
Okay, first off, I'd like to go back to Kawhi.
Go back to Kawhi
For those of you who are not paying attention, I'm not going to let Van do Kawhi like this. This is so disrespectful. For those not paying attention, Kawhi did not leave Team USA because he got a little heated in that Vegas heat. It wasn't because he wanted the cool air in Los Angeles. No, Kawhi has had knee issues for quite some time. He played the most games he's played this season in a while, but then had to miss the playoffs, which is why the Clippers probably didn't advance over the Mavericks. But Kawhi didn't even decide to leave on his own. They asked him to leave. That is sad. Kawhi wanted to play for Team USA. It was a decision that was made by Team USA. Because I was like, did Kawhi do?
I hadn't heard that. Is that true?
The way I read it, because I was like, did Kawhi just say? Because I think it's within our nature to make jokes and be like, Kawhi was like, nah, I'm going to sit this out. There were a lot of people who were against Kawhi for going to play, knowing that he's had knee troubles, with the torn ACL, with the inflammation issues, with not playing in the playoffs. A lot of people were a little disappointed in the fact that, but you're going to go play for the Olympic team. We need you to rest up and be right. We got a new arena. We need you to we lost Paul George. We need you to be ready to go day one. Van's looking at me crazy, but I'm telling you, people did not want to see Clippers fans did not want to see Kawhi at the Olympics. Kawhi wanted to be there.
I don't believe that.
It is my understanding.
I don't believe.
Grant Hill said after watching him play on Tuesday at practice, they made the decision and they called the Clippers because, teams can't tell their players they can't go to be on the Olympics. Called the Clippers and were like, this is not going to happen.
Right. So I don't believe that.
That's what Grant Hill said.
It says right here, Kawhi has been ramping up for the Olympics over the past several weeks and had a few strong practices in Las Vegas. He felt ready to compete. However, he respects that USA Basketball and the Clippers determined it's in his best interest to spend the remainder of the summer preparing for the upcoming season rather than participating in Olympic Games in Paris. First of all, here's the deal. I get it. Number one, here's the deal. So this is going to cost Kawhi Leonard a gold medal, right? The U.S. is probably going to win the gold. I watched them play against Canada. Canada actually has a team full of very, very notable names. The Canadian team has Lou Dort. The Canadian team has SGA. The Canadian team has Trey Lyles. The Canadian team has Dylan Brooks. The Canadian team has Jamal Murray. Like, they have a decent team over there. Kelly Olynyk over there in Canada. The Canadian team has a lot of guys that you'd say, wow. You look at them and they're a formidable squad.
They look like an NBA team.
Yeah, and so the U.S. handled them after a slow, kind of a clunky start. The U.S. handled them pretty easily, right? I mean, the game was never really in question. I wouldn't say they dominated them, but there's just too much talent on the court, I think, for any other team to put together a team that's going to beat KD and Steph and all of those guys, right? Okay, cool. So knowing that, Kawhi Leonard didn't have to play that much for Team USA. He didn't. Kawhi Leonard could have been with Team USA. He could have been getting treatment while he's with Team USA. He could have done like Larry Bird did in 1992 with the Dream Team, come out there, shot a couple of times, waved to the crowd, and then been laying on his stomach, watching the game, healing up. Larry Bird wasn't out there playing no crazy amount of minutes. He wasn't doing any of that stuff, right? This situation is not, to me, about Kawhi Leonard not hurting himself because he didn't really even have to give Team USA that much. They didn't really need him. He could be working through his stuff. He could be getting all of his treatment and his stuff and even rest while he gets a gold medal. Kawhi wasn't fucking with it. He went out there. It was hot. A nigga said, I want to go back and not laugh somewhere else and not ever smile in my own house. He tried it. He didn't want it. Now, we should talk about this. So Kawhi leaves and there's a spot.
Yes.
It goes to another Celtic. All right. Congrats to Bill. Y'all run the whole fucking world. It's my night. You would think that if there was going to be a member of the Boston Celtics that was going to get the nod for the Olympic team after Drew Holiday and Jason Tatum are already on the team.
Right.
And you would think that Celtic would be Jaylen Brown. who was
Quite
the Finals
naturally.
MVP and probably the best overall player for the Celtics in the playoffs. It was not. It was Derek fucking White, which caused a mini crash out. A mini. I wouldn't say it was a full crash out. But you can't you call that a full crash out? I don't think it's a full crash out. It was a mini crash out. A full crash out is like Shakur Stevenson, the boxer. Have you seen him? Since Shakur Stevenson won a
You
fight
can't use a boxing example.
So Shakur Stevenson, shout out to Shakur Stevenson, who is one of the best young fighters in boxing, but he has a defensive style. So some people watch Shakur Stevenson and they think that his style is not crowd pleasing. So he watched they watched the fight and they called the fight boring. Shakur tweeted like 280 times since the fight.
Oh my gosh.
Crashing out. He into it with Mason Cam. He into it with the older block. He into it with everybody. That's a crash out.
Okay.
I don't think that you could call Jaylen Brown and what happened a true crash out, but it's a mini crash out.
It's not a true if you're using it in the sense of him like getting into it with people and all over social media. He did a couple of tweets, but the tweets were a lot heavy to the point where it's the intro on sports shows this morning. The tweets were heavy, and that's why I'm calling it a crash out, because of his accusation. And it's layered, right? Obviously, people thought he probably was packing his bags. Quite naturally, he assumed it was going to be him. We all did. But not only is it not him, it's his teammate. And this is no shade on Derek White, but his teammate who he's better than. Like, you can say that.
Derek White's a good player. Derek White's a good player.
I'm not taking any talent away. So it's like, not only is it somebody else, but it's somebody you know you're better than, and it's your teammate. Like, so he was like, fuck Team USA. Fuck Derek White.
He never said that. See what I'm saying?
He might as well.
He didn't say that. He didn't say fuck Team USA. He didn't say fuck Derek White. He tweeted.
And he said fuck Nike.
He tweeted the little guy with the glasses emoji, that little nigga. And then he tweeted at Nike, this is what we doing. And then he tweeted again. He says, I'm not afraid of you or your resources. Now, that last tweet is probably to Stephen A. Smith. That last tweet is probably to Stephen A.
What did Stephen A. say? What was
Stephen A. and Jaylen, Stephen A., who's been getting crashed out on a couple of weeks, they've been on Stephen A. Every time Stephen A. opens his mouth, somebody.
He's on vacation though, and hopefully he's just like chilling for a bit.
Like, they got on Stephen about the OJ team. They got on Stephen A. Everything Stephen A. say, it's like a motherfucker coming out like, fuck you, Stephen A.
I will say, just to say on the OJ, because I was at the BET Awards and I was there when they were doing the remembrance. And when they put OJ up there, I'm sorry, BET knew what they were doing. All the time people get left off of the in remembrance, all in memoriam. They always forget to leave people off. They could have left OJ off. People were laughing. And not only did they keep him up there, it was like a long 3 seconds. It wasn't even a flash. People like didn't know to clap. They were laughing. You heard like people going, ooh, Stephen A. went wrong. People didn't know how to feel about it. I'm just sorry.
So here's the thing.
He was messy for that. They were messy.
So let me
Ain't nobody else gonna honor him. Is the ESPYs good? Does the ESPYs do an in memoriam?
If the ESPYs do an in memoriam, they have to put O.J. Simpson up there. Okay, so but if the ESPYs do it in memoriam, you have to put O.J. Simpson up there. So this is the deal. This is the thing. If you ask me, O.J. killed 2 people, right? But you can't ask me. That's not who you ask. You ask the legal justice system. That's who you ask. It goes to trial. After it goes to trial, you're either acquitted or you're found guilty. If you are found guilty, you are subject to all the fucking laws of the land. You go to jail. If they acquit you, you're out. That's it. It's done. It's over. you go back out and you live your life. Now, OJ was found civilly liable, and there are consequences from that he had to pay. He ended up going to jail for a little while, separate case, right? But,
Mhm.
and I hate to make it sound this way, but there have been scores and scores of white people in America who've been accused and indicted for crimes against Black people, found guilty. They go out, they live the rest of their lives. They live their lives. OJ died. I would not in any way honor OJ Simpson. But if you're the Heisman Trust, if you're the ESPYs, if you're the BET Awards, essentially, I mean, an innocent man died, at least of that crime, who was a Heisman Trophy winner and a commentator and an actor and an NFL great and all of that. I don't see how you don't do it. The ESPYs, to me, the ESPYs would have to honor OJ Simpson. And I think a lot of people took umbrage with the fact that Stephen A. Smith said that it makes Black people look bad that they honor. Why Black people gotta I don't have no problem with Stephen A. Smith saying OJ Simpson shouldn't have been honored. I really don't, because a lot of people feel that way. But saying that it makes Black people look bad, when are we gonna talk about what makes white people look bad?
Well, that is true, but I don't think any other than the ESPYs possibly, which they don't have to. It's a choice. But other than the ESPYs possibly, nobody else is going to do it. The only reason that OJ has no affiliation to music. The only reason that OJ was honored is because he's Black. That's why Stephen A. Smith said that. At the BET Awards. It's the only reason.
But the BET Awards, they honor Black luminaries, and it's not just music. They give Athlete of the Year.
I get it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying,
so, yeah.
But it's because he's a Black athlete, a Black, whatever you want to call him. That's why Stephen A. Smith, I agree with you saying about white people, but the reason Stephen A. Smith said that is because the only reason it was at the BET Awards, he got honored there is because he is Black. That's true.
Yeah. No, I get it. Look,
Grammys, Grammys, American music, Oscars. These people are not Emmys. They're not going to honor him.
I know, but if he was going to be honored anywhere, even if he hadn't done the things that he was doing, it was going to be the BET Awards.
Sorry. Don't honor this dude. Don't honor him, period. He wrote a book, If I Killed.
I know, but here's the thing, though. I'm not saying that OJ Simpson wasn't an asshole. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying, in my opinion, OJ Simpson is guilty of double murder. In my opinion, just look at it all, I think it was a bad decision by the jury. I do. I think it was colored by a lot of things that were political and a lot of things that had to do, obviously it was tinged with race, and there was some sociological aspects to it and all of that stuff, right? But I'm telling you, at the time, I'm not going to bullshit you. At the time, I celebrated like Barack Obama had been elected. I'm going to be honest with you. But I celebrated like Barack Obama had been elected. It felt like a cultural victory, right? But I'll say this. That acquittal stands as the official decision of the jury. So to me, treating him like, look, we could have talks about other situations, right? Other people like this. I'm not going to have these conversations. I'm not going to shoot any bail to any of these white people that have done any of these things, right? The gripe is with the justice system, because if the justice system is going to work, I think you can have cultural repercussions for people. I think you can decide you don't want to be around people. I'm sure those places could do that. But it would seem to me that if the ESPYs did an in memoriam, that they would have to include O.J. Simpson. That's all I'm saying.
Well, let's not forget he was found to be at fault civilly.
He was.
So wrongful death. So listen, he shouldn't have been shown. I'm going to agree with Stephen A. on this. Maybe criminal, we can debate it on the criminal side, But you're right, he was acquitted, but he wasn't civilly, he was found to be at fault. So
You're right. You're right.
it was a choice. It was unnecessary. They did it for reaction. I
You're not
am
wrong.
convinced.
Yeah. You're
It
you're
was
not
jarring.
wrong.
It was jarring to see it in real time. I'm not going to lie. You're like, oh, yeah. Like you're seeing all these great people, like Louis Gossett Jr. It might have been right after that. And it was like, bam, OJ. And it was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I understand what you're saying. Like, I still feel the way that I feel, but there's an argument that O.J. Simpson didn't show the proper. I don't know.
And
O.J.
I
was just a
forgot.
wild ass nigga.
Isn't that bad? I forgot I forgot it was this year.
That he passed away.
Like it came. Yeah, like it came. Maybe that was also my shock. I was like, oh yeah, OJ did die. It just happened so quickly.
Yeah. Once again, beat the case. But back to Jaylen Brown. I mean, look, he was talking to Stephen A. Smith. See, him and Stephen A. Smith have a back and forth. They've had a back and forth. Stephen A. Smith has talked about whether or not Jaylen Brown is marketable, Jaylen Brown is likable, Jaylen Brown is this, Jaylen Brown is that. And, Jaylen Brown has challenged Stephen A. Smith to cite his sources on all of these things that he says about him. I do think that there's no fucking way that Jaylen Brown should have been left off the Olympic team. No way. And if Kawhi goes down, I think Jaylen Brown has earned the opportunity to add gold medal. He's an NBA champion. He's a Finals MVP. He's earned the opportunity to add gold medal to those accolades and accomplishments. And I would just wonder why they didn't do it.
Do you think his accusation holds any weight? Nike is a sponsor of the Olympic team. He is not a Nike athlete, and he has been outspoken against Nike in the way that they handled the Kyrie Irving situation.
I really don't know that much about it to say that that's the thing. I know that him and Kyrie are not on the team. You could argue that Kyrie Irving should also be on the Olympic team. Obviously that would have been a hell of a choice, almost the same type of choice as the OJ
Derek
thing.
White? Oh, I was like, Derek White. No,
I think
Kyrie didn't kill anybody.
I think Kyrie Irving should be on the Olympic team. I think Jaylen Brown should be on the Olympic team. I think in this case, the very worst of the selection process is being highlighted by the fact that they're not on the team. And I think he has a legitimate gripe. And this has nothing to do with Derek White. Derek White is a perfectly fine NBA player who adds a lot of value to the Boston Celtics that almost any team would want a Derek White. You want two Derek Whites, right? But in this case, when you have a guy that's able to get the job done like Jaylen Brown is, a Finals MVP that's from right here in America.
Eastern Conference MVP. Made 3 All-Stars as opposed to Derek White, who hasn't made one. It does. And with KD being
Derek White
injured,
can play though.
I'm just talking about choices. Like there's 12 spots. There's so many people that are deserving to be on it. But I'm talking about if we're comparing one to the other, like that's what you do. This is not in any way to discredit Derek White and his contribution to basketball, to the Boston Celtics, and what he will do on this team. I'm just saying, and with KD being hurt, they might really need, if he can't continue to play, even though he's traveling with the team, they might need a Jaylen Brown. On a side note, what do you think about Jaylen Brown's braids?
What do you mean?
The side swoop.
I mean, it's fine. You mean you don't like it?
Would you, if you had braids, if you were able to have the hair for braids, which you will eventually, would you wear yours like that?
Wait.
It's such a choice.
Why I gotta get fucked over though?
What do you mean?
You play dumb, nigga.
What you mean?
Yeah. I think his braids are fine. I'm wondering why I gotta catch a straight.
It's a choice. You know what I'm saying? It's a choice. The side swoop's a choice.
Yeah. Anyway,
people have thought you've had surgery. I'm glad you raised your hat up because people have been thinking.
I haven't had it yet. People think that the hat is because I'm having the surgery. I haven't had it yet. Look, my shit is actually not looking too bad right now. Like I haven't had it yet. Shout out to Trey. Trey on his way over here right now. I will say this before we get off this situation. There are some people who think that because Jaylen Brown didn't do any of the FIBA stuff like last summer, and because maybe they wanted him to do it then, that he hasn't really been in tune and in touch with Team USA, and that he hasn't really put that work in with Team USA to be a part of it. Like some other players, Therese Halliburton did it, and he's on the team now. That Anthony Edwards did it, and he's on the team now. That because he didn't do any of that stuff, and they wanted him to do it, then that might be another reason why he hasn't been chosen to be on the team. So,
did Jason Tatum do it?
Jason Tatum, I think he did. I think Jason Tatum has been involved with Team USA before. Let me see. I think
asking because they're on the same team, and like there could be the argument with that because obviously Anthony Edwards.
I mean, look, I'm not sure. Let me look. Let me look. I'm not sure. Yeah, Jason Tatum was on Team USA in the 2020 Olympics.
Okay.
So he was on Team USA in the 2020 Olympics. So he has a long history with Team USA, the FIBA Under 17 World Games, the 19 World Games, represented Team USA at the 2016 Nike Hoop Summit, and he was on the team in 2020. So I don't know if Jaylen Brown quite has the same tenure. I think a lot of people are the history, and a lot of people are saying that might be a reason too. I personally think that he should have been on the team now. And it's clear that he wants to play, because if not, he wouldn't be making a big deal about it.
Okay, so this might be, if there was a segment in least surprising news. There's a Black man who got a job interview after he changed his name on his resume. And now, and in my opinion, rightfully so, he is suing for discrimination. Okay, so here's the backstory on this. Dwight Jackson, qualified individual, has experience working at front desk positions, various positions at hotels throughout the Detroit area, had applied multiple times between January and April of this year to multiple positions at a specific hotel, Shinola Hotel. It's in downtown. It's a very nice hotel. It's a luxury hotel. So, of course, Van was staying there.
Shut up.
And throughout these 3 months, he applied multiple times, never heard anything back. He then got the idea that he was going to keep the same resume because his resume shows he is very qualified to have these positions. But the one difference that he was going to make is change his name. So he went from Dwight Jackson to John Grabowski, which I think if you look at those, well, actually I have a comment on that. But John Grabowski clearly sounds like you are somebody that's white or of white descent. Not black, I should say. So when he makes this change on his resume, all of a sudden he's contacted for the jobs that he had previously applied for under Dwight Jackson. Now they're calling him back to interview John Grabowski. So the only thing he's able to reduce from this is that he was able to get interviews because his name sounds white. So now he's suing. He's got a civil rights attorney, and he's doing it under the Michigan Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act, which covers employment discrimination. Van, I think Dwight Jackson sounds white. I hate to root against this young man because obviously there seems to be some type of discrimination. But Dwight Jackson sounds like a white name to me. It's not like it's Duran.
It's not the blackest name, but I guess the real question. So you say Dwight Jackson?
Dwight. I say Dwight.
But wait, Dwight Jackson is the name that he went with.
Yes, but do you realize we're saying it different?
Okay, what do you say?
I'm saying Dwight.
Dwight.
You're saying Dwight. Dwight.
That's the way we say it. So wait. This is what I'm saying.
And that's Dwight black. When you say Dwight, that sounds like a black name.
So I think Dwight in and of itself is not a black name because you got Dwight Yoakam. You got a bunch of different, you know what I'm saying?
Dwight from The Office.
Yeah, but if you put Dwight with Jackson, it becomes black.
Dwight.
There are very few names. There are very few names that you put with Jackson that Jackson is of the blackest last names.
Do
Mike
you know
Jackson.
white?
Mike Jackson, black guy.
Do you know any white Jacksons? I do.
I know. I'm sure there's some, but you know, think about it. Like Ben Jackson, little Ben's son. How's Ben boy? All right, like you know what I'm saying? Like Ben, that's little Ben, that's Ben boy.
I'm curious as to what our listeners do. Is Jackson a black last name?
Fucking right. All the best Jacksons are black. Man, we got the whole Jackson family. Really, they the ones that did it. We got the whole Jackson, Samuel L. Jackson. Think about this. So if it Samuel Thomas, white name. Samuel L. Thomas, white name. Samuel L. Jackson, that's a nigga. Like, you know, like Jackson we got Jackson, man. You can't tell me we don't have Jackson. We
Andrew
definitely
Jackson.
got Jackson.
Stonewall Jackson.
That's
Alan
back in the day.
Jackson.
That's back in the day. Like, you talk about, like, that's different shit. By the way, Alan Jackson, if we didn't know who he was.
Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson is an interesting one, right? But I'm telling you right now, but even Phil Jackson, that's Phil, man. You know Phil. The reason why Phil was able to really communicate with black men that way is because he had the name. Jackson is
I got
a black
statistic
name.
for you. For you. So I typed in Google white people with the last name Jackson. You know how it has similar searches? The first number one thing is Jackson a white last name?
Because it's not. We got Jackson.
According to 2010, this is under 23andMe. Most identified as black, 53%. And it increased a little bit. Oh, no. In 2010, it's 53%, as opposed to white people, 41% of Jacksons.
Yeah, it's a black last name. And I'll tell you this. I mean, there are some names that are definitely black last names, like, you know, like Jenkins, obviously a black last name. Jenkins is a black last name. You don't see it with the Jenkins. Jenkins is a black last name. But you know what else is a black last name to me? They also got some, like, I've never met a white Westbrook. I've never met a white.
I don't think that's that common. I don't think that's a common last name.
I know Westbrooks, and not only all the female Westbrooks are like fine as hell, and all of the male black Westbrooks run like a 140-yard dash. If you on the football team and Donnell Westbrook, they're like, hey, we got a new player, Donnell Westbrook. This nigga about to fuck over everybody. Like, everyone is getting fucked over. Everyone, like every dude I ever met, like, you at a tournament, it's in the summer, and you looking down the list of people who you fucking with, and it says right there, Jonathan Westbrook. You're like, fuck, it's a Westbrook here. What the fuck do we do? Like, what do we do? You know? So anyway, but
there's a few. A lot of them are common, right? Black names.
Some of them are common, yeah, because you got to think about why these names exist, because you got to think about.
Sure. Like Washington, I think is a black name.
Washington, it's become,
right?
yeah. I think we've taken, you know, I think it's, you know, there's another black last name. What's his name that has 11 kids? What's
Harris.
His name? Harris.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe.
No. Oh.
What's his name that has 11 kids? I used to play a cornerback.
My friend?
Yeah, was cornerback. They used to have, he got 11 kids. Cromartie.
First off, Cromartie, there's more than 11.
There's Cromartie. Okay, so Cromartie. Fuck with him. Every time I meet like a Cromartie, they black. Why? I don't know.
First off, that's the only one I know.
No.
And anybody else I know is related to him.
Yeah, but I've met some other ones, and they fast too. The whole family is fasting. Anyway, so look, I've been to the Shinola Hotel. I've enjoyed the Shinola Hotel. It is a beautiful hotel. This is a real
What the
problem.
people look like? What the people look like that work there?
It's
Do
Detroit.
you remember?
They black.
So that takes away from his argument.
Nope. No, it doesn't. It doesn't take away his argument one iota. His argument isn't saying that this hotel hasn't hired black people before. That's not the argument. The argument is whether or not they would prefer to hire white people. And those are two different arguments.
That's going to be a very hard case to prove.
I don't know if it's going to be a hard case or not.
That's a hard. If you got black folks walking around working there, it's going to be hard to say that you discriminate against black people.
I'll be real with you. I went to the Shinola Hotel. It was black people working in it. But I don't think that has very much to do with what he's talking about. You would know better than me. So tell me about that thing. So if you're trying the case, or if you're doing the case and there are black people working at the hotel, what you're saying right now is that that's probably going to poke holes in this hotel, because it was mad black people working there when I went there.
Yeah, I don't have the elements, but you're going to have to prove that, like, maybe they've stopped and maybe right now they're looking for more white people. Who knows? But if you can show that they have a history of this, if they have a practice of this, like, that's going to be lean more towards his case, his favor to win this case than you looking around and seeing all these black people. Like, and again, I repeat, Dwight Jackson if your only thing is, your opinion is that your name sounds black versus this, like, for all you know, the person who was looking at the application got family with the last name Jabrowski. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe loves the name John. It's going to be very hard to prove. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
Like, maybe if Dwight did something to him in the past, so he's like, I don't fuck with Dwights. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's hard.
The only thing I will say is this, is that there's substance to this, right? They've done studies on this. We've all heard the studies. Studies show that employers are up to 24% more likely to call black applicants with white-sounding names than black-sounding names. The study also found that auto dealers and car part retailers were least likely to call black applicants. Niggas can't even work on cars. Black-sounding names and resumes. This study by two professors from the University of Chicago and MIT found that applicants with white-sounding names were 50% more likely to be contacted for interviews than those with black names. The study involved sending nearly 5,000 resumes for 1,300 job openings in Chicago and Boston, obviously two big metropolitan cities. So the intellectual undergirding of this issue, in order for someone to even try to send it with a more white-sounding name, the intellectual undergirding of this issue has been well vetted and well studied. So I would say I don't know. I would know. This is why we got a legal eagle. I don't know what you would have to prove. I've been to the Shinola. I stayed at the Shinola. Just like recently, it was either late last year. It was late last year. I was there. When I went there, shout out to my mentor and
when
friend,
you were sick,
Jason Wilson. Huh?
When you were sick.
When I was sick, exactly. When I was sick, I was up there in the Shinola Hotel. I stayed at the Shinola Hotel, and there was mad black people working at Shinola Hotel. I'll tell you something else. It depends on what position, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it also depend on what position he was going for? Because isn't it a different situation if you're trying to be, this is not in any way besmirching the people that work at the hotel in various different capacities. But if you were trying to be a valet, or was he going for a management job? Was he going for a front of service job, a concierge job? Was he going for a job that, so wouldn't those things matter in terms of what job he was applying for as well, in terms of, whether or not they wanted leadership or how they looked at
it? Seems like he applied for multiple positions, so that also goes against it, like including reception, not even just manager. So it sounds like a variety of levels he applied for, and none of them, and he didn't get a call back for any of them under Dwight Jackson.
Let me ask you this. Let's say that, because I went to Shinola, and from what I remember, everyone that I came in contact with there was Black. From what I remember, okay, there at the Shinola Hotel. What if the Shinola Hotel is trying to diversify? What if
they
they are?
might.
Is that still, I guess, suable? Can you sue if a hotel that has? I'm not saying they have a mostly Black staff. I was only there like 2 days. So, but I'm saying from what I saw when the time that I was there, one time I was in the room the whole fucking day. So from what I saw there, it was mostly Black people that worked there.
If you're Ed Bloom, then this would then if you're trying to diversify and you're rejecting, well, we know it's only white with him, but if you're rejecting a certain type of person in order to diversify, DEI, then this would be wrong. That's what Ed Bloom would say. But
right.
it's still gonna, if you have all these Black people, it's hard. It's hard. It's gonna be hard for him. But who knows? Maybe he's got more evidence.
You think he's full of shit, don't you?
Don't say that.
A little bit.
I believe him. I believe him that he applied. I believe him that he changed his name. I believe him. He said the resumes are the same except for the name change. But I think he tried to do an experiment, and I just don't think it holds much merit. I'm sorry.
Jesus. Okay, Rach. Okay. The fuck I'm talking about.
But it's an interesting thing to talk about.
It is.
I hope he gets a job.
There has been a statement made that we take from Stage Hospitality Group, which is the operating partner of the hotel. We take this allegation very seriously and do not tolerate discrimination of any kind. We're committed to fostering an inclusive workplace where everyone has the opportunity to succeed and are dedicated to building a diverse workforce that reflects the community. That is from them. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Mailbag real quick.
Mailbag time. Time to read your letters and then we'll reply to them. Oh, it's mailbag time. Write us with your queries and we'll chime in.
All right. First question is from Gotchet23. Since you're both watching House of the Dragon, we need to know Team Green or Team Black?
Black.
Team Black. Yeah,
Black.
Team Black for sure.
Because we all know that Viserys did not tell her that, I've been mixing up their names, that Aegon was the true king.
I mean,
he doesn't even know the story of the Song of Fire and Ice.
If you read Fire and Blood, they actually do, to me, a much better job of like splitting between Black and Green. Where people's allegiances should be. I don't think the show does a very good job of it at all.
I think it's very obvious. It became super obvious to me when Rhaenyra, I'm so bad with these names, Rhaenyra confronts Alicent. That to me is when I was like, okay, now I finally am clear who should have it. I knew it before, but that was the clearest to me.
Yeah, I think in the show the Blacks are the good guys and the Greens represent the usurping force. But yeah, I'm Team Black all the way.
All right. The next one's from Dark Blue X2. Rachel, even though your legal career is behind you, would you ever consider becoming a reality TV judge?
Dark Blue X2, I'm going to be very honest with you. At this point, I pretty much consider anything. If it's a paying job, I'm considering it. So yes.
Okay.
It's real.
The next one is here for the right reasons. Van, can you explain your hate against the spicy Popeyes chicken?
Oh, shit. Yeah, let me tell you something real quick. Yeah, let me tell you something real quick.
Because it's not that spicy?
No, it's not because it's too spicy. Let me tell you something real quick. I'm going to be real with you guys. I said this on Break This Out. Break this out. Original Popeye, the mild. Because some people say that the original is the spicy. Mild Popeye's chicken is better. It's better. It's better. It's better. To me, the spicy hides the flavor because the spicy becomes the flavor. The spicy hides the flavor. The original is much, much, much more versatile. You can put your own hot sauce on it, add a little jalapeno to it without it being overwhelming. And just the flavorfulness of the Popeye's chicken is better if it's not overwhelmed by the spicy. I don't like spicy food. I don't like spicy food. But I do like a little bit of hot sauce on my chicken. I like hot sauce on my chicken. It helps the chicken. It helps the. But the original is the mild, should I say. The mild is better when you're looking at the Popeye chicken. And not only that, but I challenge anyone to a blind taste test. You're going to know which one is which.
I'll
a blind taste test. You'll do a blind Popeye's taste test.
I'll do it.
Mild. We got to do it in Louisiana, though.
And it's got to be dark meat.
So you changed. Yeah, okay, cool.
It's the only kind I like.
Yeah, you've changed. But I
I've come back.
You've come back. I stand on this. I stand on the fact that the mild from Popeye is better than the spicy.
You just killed your whole argument. So don't break this out, Ashleigh, because you literally said you don't even like spicy. So you can't actually, you have a bias. You can't actually give a real opinion. You can't give a real opinion about what you like and don't like if you don't even like the first one in the first. Like, that's like me being like, the pizza with the cheese on it, terrible. But when you have the pizza without the cheese, it is so much better because I don't eat cheese. So it's like, Rachel, like, you don't even know.
But you're missing the point, though.
You're never going to like spicy chicken.
No, I got hot sauce in there right now. I like the Louisiana hot sauce. I use hot sauce when I get my Roscoe's.
That's not hot.
It's not hot. But see, here's the thing, though. It's hot sauce, right? So when the hot sauce comes there, it's not supposed to be hot, burn your mouth. Why is pain taste good? Why y'all like to taste
That's because
pain?
you can't handle the spice.
Like, why does pain taste good? It burn your mouth. I want to eat the food and have fun.
Popeye's chicken is spicy at all. I don't think their chicken is spicy at all.
I don't eat. Here's the thing. I don't eat food to test my manhood. Let me talk to y'all motherfuckers. Like, because y'all do all of this stuff. It's like, man, why you don't like to drink gin straight out the bottle? You got to be a real man. Drink gin straight out the bottle. I don't drink to prove my manhood. I drink for fun. So when I drink, I want the shit to taste kind of good.
Yeah, right? You like a little umbrella in yours.
Yeah, well, I like the shit to taste kind of good. I can drink Makers on the Rocks. It's very smooth. It makes me, like Makers on the Rocks is good. I can get into that. The whole cowboy hat aesthetic, whatever. But I'm not drinking to prove to y'all that I'm a man. That's not why I drink. I don't eat food to prove to y'all that I can handle the spice. That's not why I eat. I eat to get fat. And when you eat to get fat, you need to eat as much as you can. And the spicy fucks with you. Get off me. I like mild Popeye's chicken. You can eat more of it and it tastes good. Think of this shit. Everything is a test of manhood. Everything. Man, why don't you walk down in the 60s hood repping 8 Tray? Like what? You ain't no real man if you don't go down there. You know what I'm saying? It's like everything is a test of man. It's fucking chicken. We gotta go. I would like to say shout out to Complex for ranking me the 21st on the Hip Hop Media Power Ranking. I appreciate that. I'm not sure why.
Don't do that. You're proud. Be proud. Take the accomplishment.
I'm definitely proud. Well, hold on. Whoa. What do you mean
you don't know why? It's deserving.
We don't do a hip hop show.
But you're known for more than this. Like, you are a cultural critic. So yeah.
Shout out to Complex.
I'm not expecting to be on there.
Could be. Shout out to Complex. To be honest with you, I fuck with Complex the long way, and it's always fun when these lists come out, because when these lists come out, depending on who's number one, I haven't looked at the whole list. There's going to be a lot of consternation. Let's see. Let's look at the whole list.
Adam 22.
I'm ahead of Adam. I beat Adam
by 1. Would you be pissed if you weren't? I don't know about that one.
Actually, no. You know why? Because he has a whole entire hip hop brand.
Yeah, but it's controversial. It's controversial. It's just controversial. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he doesn't have a hip hop brand, but what is built off of.
So Academics is number 1. Budden is number 2. Kai Cenat is 3. Charlemagne is 4. Elliot Wilson is 5. Vlad is 6. Ebro is 7. Anthony Fantano is 8. Gillian Wallow is 9. Nardwar is 10. And then you're looking at Nori and Lil Yachty and Rory and Mal at 13. They got 14. They got Bootleg Kev on here. Angie Martinez, Big Boy, Angela Yee. So they got Sway. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm gonna put it to you like this. Everybody is more than deserving of all of this. Everyone is, right? I see a lot of people on here I know, the whole 9, but I'm gonna be real with you. Any list of hip hop, a hip hop power list, if we're talking a hip hop power list, Sway gotta be higher than 18.
Yeah.
It's not 3 spots in anything that separate me and Sway. Like, Sway gotta be higher than 18. I want to take the time out to tell y'all right now, man. If this is a rap culture list or whatever, and by the way, this is no shade at Complex or anybody like that. Know some people at Complex. Shout out to Complex, fucking with Complex. Complex has it. But I just want to make sure that everybody appreciates and continues to appreciate what Sway means in the culture. Sway, to me, is somebody that operates with the utmost respectability. Sway has the interviews where you get to go over there and actually talk about the thing. He's not chasing the next big controversy. Obviously I come from a place where people do that. I'm not on anybody that does that. But when you talk about hip hop, when the word hip hop is used, you're talking about hip hop, like Sway's name and what the numbers they still doing are crazy. The conversations that are still coming out of Sway in the morning are crazy. The freestyles and the propping up of hip hop as a culture that's like coming out of all of that, that's still crazy. All of that stuff still matters. So for hip hop, when it's a hip hop list, like Sway got to be up there, man. It's like I'm privileged to be on any list with Sway, but we're not in the same stratosphere. And a lot of people that's probably on this list is not in the same stratosphere with Sway as far as I'm concerned. But when you look at the top of the list,
such as lists go,
you look at the top of the list, it's probably the way it's supposed to be. Especially if you look at, it is the way it's supposed to be. Especially when you look at how things have shaken out, this year. You can look around and talk about maybe the Breakfast Club is being a little bit on here. The Breakfast Club is being a little bit downplayed if you look at that. But if you're talking about like Kai, you can make an argument that nobody reaches more people than Kai Cenat. But is Kai Cenat like strictly hip hop like that? So
that's that's where it's hip hop media. But like his influence is undeniable. But again,
if you look at how things went, if you looked at how things went this year for all of this, good list. Good list. All right. All right. We up out of here. Take team caps off. We do not stop learning. I am Dan Lathan Jr.
I'm Rachel and Lindsay. Bye, guys.